As I mentioned previously, I'd like to present a video filter that allows you to perform color correction with much more detail. And this video filter is the three-way color correction filter. I'd like to use this on my clip here. So I have to select the clip, and then by drag and drop, I can either drop the filter directly on the clip or directly into the info palette. I'll drag it onto my clip. And we can see that nothing happens at first, because I have to specify the settings within the filter. To adjust the settings for the filter, I'll select the filter here, and then I'll open the dialog window with this button here. And now, if I move it into my screen so that we can see everything, we can see that this video filter has a multitude of parameters available to us. However, have no fear, in the frame of this starter course, we will just cover the elementary functions, of which there are only a few in reality. In a further course, we will of course discuss all the options available to us in greater detail. As mentioned, in the framework of this course, we really only want to discuss the elementary factors that are also important for beginners. And so, I'd like to start by doing a color correction, and to do this, I'll use the three circles up here. So to start with, I'd like to show you what they are actually for. I can see here that each of these items has a label. For example, this one is the black balance, then grey balance, and then white balance. Now you could imagine that the individual fields are for black or for grey or for white, but that's not actually what they're for. In effect, what they are is that, for example, this one can be used to adjust the brightest parts of the images. This field can be used to adjust the part of the image that has an average brightness. And with this one, we can adjust darker parts of the image. I'll demonstrate this by adjusting this section. This is the one for the average brightness. And here we can see a slider for contrast. And with this, we can adjust the contrast, but only in the region of average brightness. I'll set that back again with default. I could also adjust the color balance by using this field. To do this, I can move the central point by drag and drop with the mouse. And we can move it in the direction of a more blue tone. And then we can see that this image becomes very saturated in its colors. And if I move it in the opposite direction, then we can see that the blue section of the image is somewhat diminished, and so we can get rid of the exaggerated blue balance of this image. I'll set it back again. If I do the same with the white balance section, then only the brightest parts of the image are adjusted. And we can see that the result is very different. Especially when working with the grey balance section, I've noticed that when I move this middle point up towards the left, so in the direction of red, then the blue color tint disappears from this image somewhat. And so I can do what the sliders do, but in a more visual way, by sliding this point. There is, however, an even easier way. Edius offers us a possibility to help removing color tints. So I'll move this window up somewhat, and then I'll readjust our preview window. And here, in the region Color Picker, I can see various options. For the minute, it's on Auto. If I click somewhere in an image, then Edius automatically finds out to which brightness section this point belongs. For example, here to the average brightness section. And in relation to this, Edius adjusts the point so that it compensates for any exaggerated color tints. I'll set it back once again. What this means in clear text is that if I click here, I'm telling Edius that this point should be grey. And when Edius gets this pointer, then it adjusts the settings so that the point we have just clicked on is grey, so without colour, and so the exaggerated colour will be removed. And if I select the correct point, then I can completely remove any exaggerated colours from an image. We can see straight away here that any exaggerated colours have been removed. And I'd like to do the same process for a brighter region. For example, this region. It could be much too bright. maybe even white with color correction. I'll click on this region, and we can see that the gray balance slider has changed. So it looks as if this region is actually still quite dark. So I'll click once more here, so that gray is adjusted for this point. And now I'll tell Edius that I would like it to make adjustments for a white region. Now, I can click on an area that in my opinion should actually be white, and any erroneous color tint will be removed from this region. Now I could do the same for dark regions by selecting black here and then clicking on, for example, the nose of the ice bear. Then any color tint for that area is also removed. We can see in this case it's only a small correction, and I'd like to OK this. I'll click here on OK, and I'll use this color balance filter that we created earlier so that the brightness is increased as well. And now we can see it looks completely different. We can see that the color tint that was contained in the clip earlier has been dramatically reduced. I can check this by temporarily deactivating the color correction filter, and then we can clearly see the before and after results. In principle, it would be better to use the color balance first so that I can base any adjustments around the corrected brightness, and so I'd like to repeat the process doing this. I'll remove this filter completely, and now we only have the brightness and contrast adjustments active. Now I'll drag the color balance here, I'll call it up, and the first thing I'll do is select grey. So I'll choose a region that should be grey in my opinion. For example, this one here. And in doing so, any exaggerated color tint is removed. If I wish to, I could now select white, and then remove any color tint from regions that should be white, and then once again for black if I have any dark regions, such as this one, the ice bear's nose. So here once again the color is corrected, and the result looks much better like this. I'll accept with OK, and once again we compare the corrected version with the original clip.